Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed? Well, if you are, stay tuned because I'm going to be talking about a proven practice that will help you to overcome that overwhelm. I'm Kathleen Rafter. I help people to become calm, clear, and confident so they can develop vibrant lives of inner peace. I'm a spiritual life coach and teacher and a certified EFT practitioner. And that's what I'd like to talk about today, emotional freedom techniques, EFT, sometimes called tapping. And EFT has been around since the 1990s. It was developed by a man named Gary Craig, and he had modified a process called TFT that was developed by a psychologist, Dr. Roger Callahan, who had a client who just had a phobia of water. She couldn't go by a stream or by a swimming pool, and it was getting to the point where she was even overwhelmed by washing and bathing. And he developed something called thought field therapy. And it was a little bit complicated. Gary went through and developed EFT, which is a much simpler process, and it's something that we all can use. And Gary made it available to all of us to use. And EFT involves cognitive behavioral therapy from modern day psychology, along with acupressure, which is derived from the ancient practice of acupuncture. And there have been over 300 peer-reviewed studies that have been published with respect to EFT. So it's been proven that it's effective. We've seen Olympic athletes using it before their heats. And it's also been used in areas of tragedy, like the Sandy Hook, where the elementary school shooting occurred years ago, as well as in Rwanda, where there was a genocide in East Africa. It's very gentle, but it's very effective. And the way that it works is we have energy channels in our body called meridians. And that's how we're able to stay alive, through the energy that's running through these meridians. And when the energy is running smoothly, everything's fine, we feel healthy. When a blockage occurs, either because of a negative emotion, like overwhelm, fear, or a limiting belief comes in, or an injury comes in and there's pain, a blockage occurs. But by going through and tapping on the endpoints of meridians, we're able to get that energy flowing again, dissolve the block, and get back to perfect mental and physical health. So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. There are actually 48 techniques, but most people only know of the one basic technique that I'm going to be running you through right now. And there are 9 endpoints of the meridians that I just mentioned that I'd like to run you through. So there's the side of the hand, top of the head. There's the inside of the eyebrow or the inside of the eye where the eyebrow meets the bridge of the nose, the outside of the eye, under the eye, under the nose, above the chin. And this next point you can find by finding the notch below your throat and go about 1.5 inches below that and 1 inch on either side. You'll find 2 bony ridges. They're usually pretty sore unless you're used to working them. And I like to use my third finger and thumb, tapping those. Other people will just use their entire palm. And the last point is about 4 inches below your underarm. And you can tap using one hand or the other, both hands, it doesn't matter. What does happen is that through tapping on these points, you can go through and it's like a pulsating action. The energy flows through and it dissolves any blockages that are there. So the process starts with, first of all, thinking of the emotion that you're experiencing. Let's use overwhelm as an example. Feel where you feel that overwhelm in your body. And some people can't feel that those sensations in their body, then just guess. I know for overwhelm, I often feel it behind on my neck and then the back of my shoulders. Some people feel it in their chest. Some people feel it in their stomachs. But just feel where that overwhelm is located. And then give it a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being doesn't bother you at all, to 10 being you can't stand it. And so we have a location, we have the emotion, we have the location, and we have the level of intensity. Now, I'll go through and we'll run you through an example with overwhelm. And a lot of people might feel, I don't know what to say when I'm tapping. Just say whatever comes naturally. Pretend that you are talking to a family member or a friend about the issue. You can say this just mentally. Keep that to yourself, or you can say it out loud. It doesn't matter. But just think. Think of the thing that's stressing you out. And you can use my example, just tap along with me. Or when you're doing this on your own, you can use other words to go through and describe your exact situation. The more exact you get with your situation, the more effective this is going to be. So let's start with the side of the hand, and we do something called a setup statement. And some people don't think it's effective. I think it is very good to anchor into your subconscious what exactly you want to work on when you're tapping. So it starts with, even though I'm feeling all this overwhelm, then there's another statement attached. And the typical thing is to say, I deeply and completely accept myself. Some people don't like to use that. They can use, even though I feel so overwhelmed, I deeply, I know that this is going to work out. Or even though I feel so overwhelmed, I know that I'm a good person. Or anything like that that comes to mind. It's just a matter of settling your situation down, settling your mind down. And then the top of the head. I feel so overwhelmed. Inside of the eye. I have so much to do. Outside of the eye. I have so much to do at work or in my business. Under the eye. There's so much going on with my family. Under the nose. Kids are going back to school. And there's just a lot to organize. Chin. And I don't have time to exercise at all. I don't remember the last time I'd been to the gym. The collarbone point. I can't find any time to myself. Under the arm. I don't know what I'm going to do. I want to meditate, but I don't even have time to meditate. So we'll consider that one round. And after you finish, so just taking a deep breath and taking a sip of water just to keep the energy moving. And go through and evaluate. Is it still overwhelmed that you're feeling? Sometimes that might change to anger, or it might change to fear. Do you still feel whatever emotion it is in the same spot, or did that switch spots? And then what is the intensity? So you just kind of play along with this. Your subconscious is going to lead you to wherever it needs to lead you, for you to get over this initial feeling of overwhelm, which may change over time. And if you're still feeling, let's say you started at maybe intensity of 5 out of 10, and maybe it's down to 3, then I would do another round of tapping. Or if you found that the emotion changed, or the location changed, or the intensity changed. And what we normally do is tap until we're feeling calm, where we're feeling peaceful, where we're feeling clear. And usually that happens when you get down to about a 2 out of 10. When that happens, then you can just, usually if you need to take action, you're at a state right then where you can just go in through and take action. So just continue to work the process, continue to do rounds until you get to that quiet point. And there's usually a glow that comes about people when they do what we call the EFT glow. And it's a sense of presence, it's a sense of calm. It's very similar to what you get after meditating. It just brings you to that place of being centered. So just to summarize, we've been talking about EFT and how it's a great self-help tool to overcome overwhelm or any other negative emotion. It can even be used for pain. I had a little issue with my shoulder yesterday, and I immediately started tapping, and I'm not having any problem with it today. So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, often called tapping, and it was developed in the 1990s by Gary Craig. And it involves cognitive behavioral therapy, combines that with acupressure. And there have been over 300 peer-reviewed studies that have been published. So it's a very, very, very effective process, and studies show that. And what EFT involves is actually tapping on meridian points where blockages may have occurred in the body. Through going through and tapping on these points, you can release the blockages that might be due to overwhelm or fear or even pain, and just leaving you in a state of feeling calm and peaceful. So if you enjoyed this process, I'm sure you'll enjoy the free ebook that I've created called 5 Steps to Create Inner Peace and Calm Your Soul, even if nothing else has ever worked before. You can find a link for that right below this video. And just have a couple of requests. One is that if you experience any pain, please go and see your doctor. This is not a substitute for proper medical care. Once you go and see the doctor and find out what's going on, if you still feel the pain, then you can use EFT to relieve that pain, and it will also help with any therapy that the doctor has given you. Secondly, if you have experienced any trauma in the past or you are experiencing trauma, contact me. It'll be much easier to go through this process with somebody who's certified, who's experienced with it, than to go through it yourself. So experiment with the tapping, experiment with the steps in the ebook. Leave a comment below as to how things are working out for you. Or you can, if you want to keep it more private, you can email me at kathleenrafter.com. I'd love to hear from you and to see how these steps are working for you. And again, my email address is kathy@kathleenrafter.com. Please subscribe to my channel, like the video, and we'll see you next week.